would like to call upon Dakota Belcher and Sherry Ray to introduce our next speaker.
So throughout the year, I've kind of liked to consider myself the team's ninth wheel. I got to go with them to Washington, D.C. I spent quite a bit of time with them at the Red Barn during the state fair. I went with them to National Convention. I was at NMLC. I was at state judging. I even got to spend some time with them during their state convention prep at state convention in Albuquerque last April. Now, that being said, I like to think that I know the team pretty well. You have Briley, the bubbly person, Sydney, the stressor, Cable, the Karen, Peyton, the procrastinator. There's Denny, who's a Lyle, the American, Annalisa, who is all smiles, and then there's Megan. She's weird. She is so weird, but she's the type of weird that makes every awkward situation even less weird, because who was ever making the situation awkward in the first place gets out-weirded. And she's the type of person that will continue to speak to address an elected official in Washington, D.C. as the squash king after he tells us about his agricultural background. And she's the type of weird that will drag you around every sketchy corner of Indianapolis, Indiana, refusing to let you use your phone for directions to find a gas station because, come on, Sherry, it's an adventure. And she's the type of weird that will grab Mr. Smith's hand during our prayer before breakfast and lick it just to get a reaction out of him. But all of Megan's oddities are what make her so, so special. I have never met a person who is so uniquely authentic 100% of the time. This authenticity has led her to become a better state officer, has led her to become a humble servant, and has led her to become someone who I will call my forever friend.
For the past few months, I've been thinking of so many different ways that you can sell Maegan Lemon. And you can sell lemons in a fruit stand, but you cannot sell her personality enough. She's such a weird person, as Sherry said, but with that weird comes such strong qualities. I had the incredible opportunity to present Megan, which is where I met her first, at camp last year with her 2018-2019 state officer jacket. And with that ceremony came many tears, many laughs, and it was truly impactful. Never met a leader with such a heart, such red hair, and such a vibrant personality. Personally, if I can get along with someone who loves Star much as that, I think it's a pretty good friendship. So it is my honor to present to you your 2018-2019 District 5 President, State Vice President,
with her retiring address titled Fix Your Eyes, my redheaded sister,
my best camp friend,
Maegan Lemon.
Mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall, telling those lies, pointing out your flaws. That isn't who you are. That isn't who you are. It might be hard to hear, but let me tell you, dear, if you could see what I could see, I know you would believe that isn't who you are. There's more to who you are.
If any of you have ever been in a room with me for more than 5 minutes, then you'll know my eyes are broken. That's right, I have a lazy eye. It's a really cool party trick, and I love showing it off to everybody I meet. But the truth of the matter is, my eyes are broken, and they have been for a while. But I've been working hard for the past 19 years to fix my eyes. What does it mean to fix our eyes? Well, to me, it means working to change your perspective on the world, how I present myself, and how I view my surroundings. I want to start off by telling y'all a story about a guy I know. You probably know him too. This guy was sent by his employer to send a message to a rather sketchy town, and he refused. In fact, he refused so much that he gets a bunch of pirates to sail him in the exact opposite direction of where he's supposed to be going. Push comes to shove, and this guy ends up getting swallowed by a whale. If you haven't guessed it by now, I'm talking about Jonah the prophet. While Jonah was in this whale, he repents to his employer, God, I don't know if you've heard of him, kind of a big deal, and he asks him for forgiveness. As God is a God of second chances, Jonah is forgiven, escapes from the whale, and finishes his journey to Nineveh to deliver God's message. Now, Nineveh ends up being as corrupt as Jonah had expected. And after delivering God's message, he situates himself on a hill overlooking the town to watch God's divine intervention destroy Nineveh for its sinful ways. But such does not occur. And after delivering God's message, after saying this, he turned his back on Jonah. Now, Jonah has made several mistakes throughout this journey. But the most striking mistake to me was the fact that Jonah was wholeheartedly unable to focus. His gaze was always set on what was directly in front of him, whether it be a whale or Nineveh's sins. He could only focus on what was happening on the right then and there, never the why or the how. The irony completely escaped Jonah when he believed the Ninevites should not get a second chance after God had just recently saved the prophet from the belly of a whale. Jonah failed to fix his eyes on God, causing confusion, anger, frustration, and betrayal. Because Jonah couldn't fix his eyes, he failed God. And above all else, he failed himself. When you are unable to focus on anything other than yourself, your eyes will always be broken. Your tunnel vision will always be your limiting factor. And in the end, you'll never see the irony of the situation you've placed yourself in. So if you're having trouble seeing the bigger picture, take a step back and fix your eyes. Now, when I was 8 years old, I was the most shy, introverted person you'd have ever met. I didn't enjoy people talking to me, and I definitely didn't enjoy having to talk to people. My mom can attest for that one. But when I was old enough to start showing livestock, Mom and Dad signed me up with the local youth-led organization, Cottonwood 4-H. A little embarrassing, I know. But I started off simple, showing chickens and rabbits. Easy. Just feed and water them, right? Boy, was I mistaken. It was very hard for an 8-year-old Maegan Lemon to wake up at the crack of dawn just to go take care of the chickens and rabbits. But I got the hang of it, just in time for the Eddy County Fair. Now, this was a time when everything became a little more scientific in nature, and my dad and I had to work together to create 2 pens of 3 matching chickens and 2 pens of 3 matching rabbits. I was 10 times more frustrated with my father in that week alone than I have been in that entire life. But we got through it without ripping each other's heads off. And in the end, I got grand champion pen of chickens and reserve champion pen of rabbits during my first year ever at the Eddy County Fair. And I made some lifelong friends along the way. Yet, at the end of everything, no one thought to tell me that my beloved chickens and rabbits didn't get to go live in the pasture behind my house forever. My beloved livestock was sent off to be slaughtered before I could even squeak out a goodbye due to the tears rushing down my face. Oh yeah, I was heartbroken. Yet, as I stood at the front of the livestock barn, waving goodbye to the truck that stole my pet chickens away from me, my mom gave me a verse to reflect on. She said, "Be shepherds of God's flock, watching over them, not out of compulsion, but because it is God's will." I still was lost. I saw no results from where I was standing. However, as I look back on that first livestock show, years away from that moment, I realized something. I learned a lot from my years of showing stock, but the biggest thing I learned was how to have a servant heart. Sure, I'm no longer that shy little girl. I can wake up at 5:30 in the morning when I need to, and I have the ability to never take a summer vacation again because of show animals. But what it really taught me was how to serve others. I didn't have to show animals for the past 10 years. None of us did, really. But I did it. And along the way, I got that servant heart. I learned it takes a soldier who knows their orders to walk the walk that we are supposed to walk. Showing animals just to fill the lots at the end of everything isn't easy, but it's what's right. Understanding your role in this whole mess of life isn't easy, but it's what's right. Serving others isn't easy, but it's what's right. Work hard, follow the right road, and let your servant heart guide every step you take. Joe Lemon was raised in the mountains of Cochise County in southeastern Arizona, where he spent a majority of his time breaking horses and mining for gold and turquoise. I mean, look at this guy. If that's not the definition of a super punch, I don't know what is. Life has thrown a lot of obstacles his way, but he's always gotten up and dusted himself off. My dad has been the fence post that I can lean on, the immovable object to my unstoppable force. This man was a brick wall in my eyes, and nothing in the world could tear him down. You can imagine my surprise when in April of 2017, my father was diagnosed with cancer. Imagine in the parking lot of the local Sonic, after state judging, my mom breaking the news to me that my dad has cancer. The strongest person in my life had gotten hurt, and there was nothing in the world I could do to fix it. At this point, we had reached critical temperature, and I had to decide how I would react. I was lost. With state convention just around the corner, I made the decision to run for state office that year, throwing myself into preparing for nominating committee, effectively shutting myself off from my family, leaving them to deal with the consequences of my dad's illness on their own. In the end, during the course of getting his treatment, my dad contracted a staph infection, had to go to the emergency room, and nearly died. And I didn't even notice. I was so busy focusing on my own success that I couldn't even be bothered to pay attention to my own family. In the end, I didn't get elected to state office that year. A few months later, and my dad is now a cancer survivor, despite my lack of emotional support. For those 6 months, I was living the most selfish life I could ever imagine. My biggest regret in life so far has been not giving back to one of those people who has given so much to me. I've always prided myself on being a selfless person, yet that was my lowest point to date. And while I'm not proud to admit it, I hope that you all can learn something from my mistakes. No one benefits from you living a selfish life, not even you. Take time for your family. Live your life for another. Live a life that feeds your selfless nature. Now, none of this is about fulfilling some destiny or being the chosen one. You're not destined or chosen. I wish I could say you were if that would make it easier, but it's not true. You're in the right place at the right time, and you care enough to do what needs to be done. Sometimes that's enough. These 3 lessons that I've learned over the course of my life have gotten me to this point where I'm able to give them back to you. And I hope that if you learn anything from what I've said today, you take time to focus on what's greater than you. Live a life that feeds your servant heart and live a selfless life. New Mexico FFA, you are the future, but only you can fix your eyes.
All of the mistakes, all of the heartbreak, here's what I do differently.
Maegan. This year with you has been undescribable, amazing, and overall perfect. In your speech, you talk about how we aren't destined for things, but we're in the right moment at the right time. And I truly believe you were in the right moment at the right time to fit this state officer team perfect. You've done amazing things, and I think that you've been selfless, kind, and loving more than anybody I could ever imagine this year at state office. Maegan, you always impress us with your science knowledge, with your ability to crack a joke whenever nobody can think of one, your ability to be personable with people that I never thought would be able to be personable with, and overall, Maegan, your ability to just be selfless and always think of others first. Maegan, with love from Briley, Sydney, Annalisa, Lyle, Cable, Denny, and Peyton. The Mexico FFA, your District 6 President, State Vice President, Maegan Lemon. District 5.